Sport and Nerd.
So, home, did you bring me that hand sanitizer that I asked you to bring?
No, I didn't actually. It's all at my place, all 75 boxes that I bought.
You're the guy.
Yes.
See, I bought one bottle like a week ago.
And you're out.
I went to Target and they had a ton of them. I'm assuming if I went back now,
They're gone.
I'm screwed. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to come over, I am selling them.
Oh, really?
For a nicely marked up but generous.
Oh, that's nice of you.
It's very
Doing
very
it for the
generous.
community.
It's a generous.
What's a bottle?
I mean, it's about $50. It's pretty generous if you ask me.
I mean, there's people selling them for $100. So
yeah.
How about surgical masks? Any of those?
You know, those are all for me. But that's because I like to put them all over my body and run around the house and say, I'm safe. I'm safe.
You slide your feet through the things and wear one as a cup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you know me. You know me. I mean.
Now, how have you been? You went to the movies over the weekend.
How
did you prepare for?
I just went.
You just went. Okay.
I figure it's still semi-winter, so I'm pretty clothed. I don't touch a whole lot of things.
Nobody's breathing on you.
I mean, thank God. Yeah, I feel bad, but it's like, those heavy people when they go to movies and
they breathe. Yeah, I know.
And you're like, this is how you just breathe, like relaxed. This is like, my God, I can't imagine you snoring.
It's crazy because and I don't know, maybe that happens to me too. I get congestion quite a bit, but
right.
I always feel like, wouldn't I be able to tell if I was doing that?
I used to date someone who can you just shut up? And it's like, okay.
Oh, so really?
So I've been trained to be very aware of my breathing.
Wow. Yeah. Now, what else was I going to say? I feel like it was coronavirus related, but yeah. Luckily, this is a podcast, so no one needs to leave the house.
Yep.
But movies are being affected. Box office is going to be affected.
Yeah. This is strange.
It is
what you're witnessing right now, but that's not what these people are here for. In fact, I will say that I have actively avoided coronavirus news because I'm like, you know what? If I get it, I'm going to fucking get it.
That's true. That is true.
I'll just wash my hands more.
You know what would be nice is what if they decide okay, we have to cancel all these movies. Let's just throw them direct on demand and let people pay $12 to rent them.
Ooh.
Or even $20.
I mean, that's great for people like you and I who have decent entertainment systems at home. But if you're watching on a nice little 32-inch,
that's true.
You remember when 30?
I don't remember
32?
The last time. I was just gonna say.
Remember when 32 was that was actually kind of a big deal.
That is funny. When's the last time you saw a TV that was 16 or 24 inches and it was just a normal,
right?
It doesn't even exist. In your kitchen, you have an HD TV.
You got at least a 24-inch in your kitchen.
Yeah, and you're
Jesus
standing
Christ.
Right in front of it.
Are we talking about privilege or what the fuck?
It's the new world. I mean,
you know what? I don't have a kitchen or I don't have a TV in my kitchen.
I don't either. But if you did, it wouldn't be
Why do you need a TV in your kitchen for fuck's? Just cook and get out.
Well, maybe you like those cooking shows.
Yeah, that's what your phone's for.
Although I suppose people probably put a tablet on a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
A tablet nowadays is better picture quality and a better experience than the TVs with the built-in VCRs back in the day.
Oh my God. I had one of those. Yeah.
But we are already
we're well off track. Welcome to Bored and Annoyed.
Our topic this week is TVs.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's something about the Invisible Man and the Dark Universe.
The Dark Universe.
The new Dark Universe. It's so new and different and fresh and interesting.
Yeah, well, we don't know if it's a universe yet, but we're going to discuss our Dark Universe.
Like all the internet, we're going to extrapolate based on one thing.
Yep, that's right. But we have news, I'm assuming.
We do have news. Yeah, we could go into some news. That's a thing that we do.
important and the most entertaining news that you will get all day is the movie news with a couple of rabble-rousers, Jackson and Home at the Movies. It's Bored and Annoyed with the news.
First, we've got James Bond is being delayed.
Till November. 7 months.
That seems a bit excessive.
They must have really read the tea leaves on the box office.
I keep thinking, I mean, like, you know, like Black Widow hasn't, like, Black Widow's like kind of like the next big release in May. And it's like, they haven't moved.
Well, maybe they're like, okay, well, let's just move it to May. But then they're like, oh, but Black Widow's in May. So let's move it. You know what I mean?
Is this even a packed summer? Like, I don't even know many releases for this summer.
No, I don't either.
But yeah, I mean, that sucks.
It does suck. I was all pumped. We were talking about doing a James Bond episode.
Yep.
But that'll have to be pushed. Although maybe that helps us because then we actually have time.
We can watch to do all 20 billion other movies where he walks down a hallway and they're like, let's play the theme because nothing else is happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, James Bond. But yeah, that sucks. I mean, what else is there? There's The Hunt that's coming out this weekend.
Yeah.
Apparently,
The Hunt is a Hunt.
So one thing I noticed with my sleuthing, by the way,
sleuthing.
This, when I checked it on Flickster,
right,
the runtime was like an hour and 54 minutes or something. But then on Atom Tickets, it's an hour and 30 minutes. So was it incorrect in one or the other spot? Or did the movie have a bunch of shit cut out of it?
Right. Maybe they're releasing 2 versions. Depends on the theater you go to.
Yeah, the Choose Your Own Adventure movie.
Oh my God, yeah. There is that. There's a little bit of Marvel news, as we always have, because I mean, for fuck's sake, they just
Marvel shill.
They can't just not have news.
Christian Bale's officially been cast.
Christian Bale's officially cast. He is cast as the villain, according to Tessa Thompson.
And we don't know who the villain is.
We don't know who the villain is. This is very exciting, though, because that is some big chops. And I keep thinking, I'm like, you know, Christian Bale could go like one of 2 ways. He could be like, I'm going to do like a serious villain, kind of like Hela kind of sort of took herself seriously in the movie. Like she was vamping for sure.
Way more than anyone else
in the movie. She took herself the most serious out of anybody in the movie. And I'm like, okay, Christian could do that. Or he's going full on just, I'm in a Taika movie. I'm going to be a Taika character.
We'll see.
So
he's going to do a good job, whoever plays.
But my fucking hope is that he's Gore the God Butcher, because it is such a good story.
Sweet. I'm still just worried about Natalie Portman coming back.
I think if there's anybody that can make Natalie Portman affable, it's Taika Waititi.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Mark Ruffalo. Sounds like he might be joining the She-Hulk series. This is interesting to me because now you've got kind of like one of the big 6
in a TV series. Now, I'm sure it's probably certain levels of cameos. Sure.
But that in and of itself, I mean, he's still Professor Hulk. I mean, unless they kind of cop out and they're like,
God damn it. When that news gets shared, I'm thinking like, you know,
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
And then
so he's
Hulk.
going to be.
I mean, they could still do
either or, right? They can figure something out.
It's funny because Downey Jr. went on Rogan not too long ago.
Yes.
And he was sort of talking about like, yeah, you know, like we do character progression and stuff like, you know, we've never seen the Hulk like that. And it's all fair points. But he's also like, and once you do that, like you can't unrelease that genie out of the bottle. And he's like, or maybe you can. And it's so true because you can, it's the Hulk, it's comics. You could totally unwrite it.
That interview was funny too, because like already it's like, all right, so Robert, would you do it again? Yeah, exactly.
It's a good interview. It was funny to watch. Rogan kind of gets into sort of like political territory and Downey's pretty good about sort of dancing out of it.
He's just a likable guy.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to touch.
He's like,
he's
smart. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how smart he is. But yeah, so that's kind of like the Marvel news. We do have some DC news though. They revealed the Batmobile.
Ooh, yes. Are you excited for the crossover of Fast and the Furious and Batman?
If it means Batman full on
Drives
kills
a
all
hot
of them.
ride? Oh.
If he kills all
Batman
of them.
doesn't kill, Alex. You can't complain. You're
Tell that
willing to make an exception?
Tell that to Michael Keaton.
Ben Affleck?
And Ben Affleck.
Okay. I think the car looks great. I think it looks fucking awesome.
It looks so sick.
Yeah.
I am so on board. It feels like
it's like a muscle car.
It's
for
like a
anybody who
muscle
hasn't
car,
seen
but
it.
the rear lights kind of like give me like a Blade Runner 2049 kind of feel.
Do we know when does this movie take place? What like decade?
I'm hoping they kind of just do like it's a different world.
Okay.
We've done sort of like Gothic Batman, and then we did sort of modern Batman.
Sure.
Let's just put him back in a weird world where it could be 1980 or 2020. I'm fine with that. Like they've got weird old fashioned looking cars, but motorcycles, but maybe they've got cell phones. I don't fucking care. It just looks dope.
The car looks awesome. Although part of me is like, why am I seeing all this? I'd rather have it just be
revealed.
A fucking surprise.
I want it in the trailer is
Right.
where I want it, because then I get the full accompaniment of the music and everything.
What do you think would happen if somebody had the balls, like if Matt Reeves like only had a teaser trailer where you don't see shit, they kept it under like complete lockdown? Like, do you think it would affect box office in a very negative way if they did that?
I think, that's a tough one, because I think back to Batman Begins and like the trailers for Batman Begins. And I think there might have been one reveal shot at the end with him in the suit, but I don't think they're like the first
Not
trailer.
much.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I remember when that came out thinking like, why are they doing Batman again already?
Right. But it was fucking amazing.
Nowadays, it's like,
but it also
it was amazing. Yeah.
But of the series, it made the least amount of money by far. But then the question is like, you have to measure Batman fatigue because Batman Forever just
and Robin, but it
Batman
wasn't
and Robin,
just.
right.
It was like 8 years.
I thought they did like, I thought it was more than, I thought it was closer to like 5, but you might be right. No, actually, I think it was 5 to 7. I think it was 5 to 7. I think. Because I think Batman and Robin was like a 98 movie.
97.
And then I think Batman Begins is 2005.
2005. So 8 years.
So 8 years. So you were right. You were right on the money.
What's new?
Aha. But yeah, no, this, I love the look of everything in this movie. I love everything about it. Even like they got a shot where Batman's standing next to the car and you don't really see his face. It's like the behind the, and I just love it. I fucking love it. I'm down. I'm so fucking down. Everything I've heard about this movie sounds fucking amazing. And yes, if it was a different director other than Matt Reeves, I probably wouldn't feel that way. But it's Matt Reeves.
Right. Now, did you hear this thing where, and this is me just talking out of my ass. Do you know if the director of Joker really said that he's not, Arthur Fleck isn't the Joker?
Who said this?
Apparently there is a rumor that the what's the guy who what's his fucking name? The Hangover guy.
Anyways, doesn't matter. Hangover guy, director of Joker.
Yes. There is a rumor that Arthur Fleck is not the real Joker, but a Joker who inspires whoever the real Joker is.
That's kind of been a theory that's been floated around basically ever since the movie came out. It's interesting that he's actually giving it credence, though.
He apparently supports the idea. I'm looking at it right now. So he's teasing that it might not be. Now, that would actually make more sense to me logically. Because I don't see Arthur Fleck, that character, as the guy who would be this mastermind, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it's two options you have. You can say, well, that's not the Joker from the comics. He's not a genius.
True.
Then the other option is totally different universe.
Whatever.
Could be a different take. Whatever. I don't know exactly how I feel about that, because it's like, it sounds like you're backpedaling on your Joker.
It would undercut the movie.
It would undercut the movie.
I think.
Because then it's like, hey, the movie's called Joker, but not really. Joke's on you.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. That's the full title.
There you go. Well, maybe that's the idea.
It's very wordy.
But yeah, I thought it was an interesting thing.
That's interesting. I'm not in love with
You're
that.
not fully on board with that idea?
It does. The more I think about it, the more it sounds like he's pussying out of his own movie. And that's just, it's like, dude, just have some balls. Yeah, you didn't make a full-on real Joker movie. You did your take. That's fine.
It sounds to me like it's like, okay, well, we need to figure out how to make more money off this with a sequel. And I don't know how we can possibly make it like a Batman thing because this character can't fuck with Batman.
No, he's going to get his ass kicked. Like, he's over. He's done if he fucks with Batman. There are some Universal monsters getting into like kind of our topic. Movie news. So we've got the director, Karen Kusama. She directed The Invitation,
which we just talked about.
Yeah. You can listen to, I guess it was 2 weeks ago we did that.
What else did she direct?
She directed Jennifer's Body and Destroyer. And I believe Destroyer is the one with
Nicole Kidman.
Was it Nicole Kidman?
Yes.
Oh, yes, that one. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think Jennifer's Body is probably the one that's going to be considered the miss out of that.
Yes.
But The Invitation is very good, and I've heard nothing but good things about Destroyer.
Is like, there's things I loved about it. There's things that I didn't love about it.
Sure.
It looked better than it was in the trailers, but it wasn't bad. It was a good movie.
Rumor has it that this is actually going to be like a modern take on it. Like
Dracula, right?
On Dracula.
Dracula.
So like, I think it might be the idea that maybe he's like in New York instead of like Transylvania or whatever.
I wish you had watched all of Dracula
right
for this conversation because.
Right. But so there's that news. And then there's also the news that James Wan is working on a Universal Monsters movie, but we don't know which one.
Okay.
So now I'm kind of like, are you guys ramping this shit up?
Well, okay, let's talk about Invisible Man. Is this a good segue to kind of bring these two together?
I want to get your take on those two directing movies for this.
I like it, and I think that they're smart for if they're going to do them all in the style of Invisible Man where they spend like $7 million.
Right.
I think that's what Invisible Man's budget was. It was super cheap.
Right. This is a Blumhouse one for Dracula, I believe.
Okay. They did Invisible Man too.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a super cheap, movie.
Right.
They make 60 million or whatever it was.
Right.
It didn't like crush it, but it doesn't need to, right?
Right.
And you just put that in contrast with what they tried to do with The Mummy.
Yeah. What did The Mummy cost? Like almost 200 million?
It's insane.
Yeah.
And then that movie probably made 40 or 50 in its opening weekend, I would guess.
Right.
And that is a loss, like
massive
crazy.
Loss, yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not against it as long as they're all good,
right?
I guess. But this Blumhouse is bizarre because they're making shit like this. I've heard this, what Fantasy Island movie they came out with is just an abomination.
It's got like, a 6%?
Yeah. So they make shit like that.
Yeah.
And then they make shit like The Invisible Man. And I don't know what to think of that company.
Right. Well, I think that's the thing is like, when you are kind of throwing that little into the movies, I think there's probably a lot less hands-on, studio meddling that goes on. So it's like, well, maybe you hired a bad writer or maybe you hired a bad director and they just made a bad movie.
Well, and I would guess Fantasy Island probably at least made its money back anyway.
Right. Which is probably why they're like, you know what?
Fuck it.
We just do the $8 to $15 million movie, and we know we're going to make our money back. So, yeah, I'm a producer, but I just don't do anything.
Yeah.
I just tell people, it sounds like a movie.
That's probably true.
So, I mean, that's a thought. But I love this Karen being the director of
Dracula.
Dracula. I love that because I think The Invitation is fucking great.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm interested what they could do with the modern take. I hope that they kind of find a way to find a new angle on Dracula. because you look at like the Invisible Man, and it's very much about like abusive relationships.
Sure.
That's the whole metaphor. Interesting idea, really well done there, and we can get into that with the review. But it's like, what do you do with Dracula? What is Dracula the stalker? I mean, you've already kind of dealt with that in Invisible Man.
Yes.
Or what do you make him? Do you make him rape culture? Do you make him,
or do you just not have every movie have to have some, big metaphorical stance to take?
Maybe not, but I feel like that's the strength of these characters, is that they're broad enough that they should be used to make social commentary of some kind. I mean, yes, you always get the fun of like the kills and stuff, but I feel like that's what lends them. I feel like when you stop allowing a character to grow is sort of when they stop becoming timeless.
Well, and that could be interesting too, because you could have like different kind of philosophical or, political quote unquote leanings, kind of like that's what they're butting heads over.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That could be interesting.
I just think that there's a lot rife with Dracula. There's so many great angles to take. Those, like the whole, like, I outlived everybody I loved.
Sure.
Or maybe he's, I mean, there's something really deeply political about the idea of a very rich white man who literally sucks the blood of
You're
people
assuming
below him.
Dracula's white.
That's true. You could, and that's the thing. That they could race swap. That's entirely possible. They could do something completely different. Maybe he's from Transylvania. He comes over. It's an immigrant story about coming to America.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but you've got a lot of potential here.
Someone has to invite him into the United States.
There's the political message. And the scary thing is he has coronavirus.
Yes. Hey, there you go. That's where it all started. That's where the coronavirus came from.
Well, it's funny, these diseases, or even just what's going on in life, just makes you think about like movies when you think about movies all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just like, God, what if there was a movie about a guy who's like, I'm the only person that's immune to a certain disease? That's an angle.
Sure.
And then there's, or woman, I don't fucking care what gender, or a guy or a girl who's the originator of the disease.
Someone is.
Right?
Someone is. Some Chinese person out there ate like a live...
Joke's on you. It was a white businessman who came over and he was like, I'm a eat and have sex with all of the animals in this fucking marketplace.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, you never know. It was Dracula.
It was Dracula. You can't get enough sex or blood.
It's true. But yeah, so I'm all for it. Keep making them. Don't make a shitty one. I'm fine.
Right,
so,
right. Do we want to do a review of Invisible Man?
Let's talk Invisible Man, because I think that's kind of the segue. So I quite enjoyed Invisible Man. I thought it was really well done for the most part. It kept it really simple to the things about that idea that are creepy. We didn't have the, Hollow Man / Rise of the Planet of the Apes / whatever type lab bullshit that we needed. It had a different spin on it, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I wasn't comfortable with at first.
Right.
Because I want it to be one thing.
Yep.
And when it's not, I'm kind of like, but...
You're not the thing I know.
Right. But... You know what? We've seen enough of some of this shit.
Yeah.
And I can't let my personal, feelings towards a specific story or character get in the way of that. So I thought it was good. I liked it. It
kind of reminds me of like, it's like doing comic book characters. As long as you're staying true to the spirit of what the character is and what they mean.
Right.
You're okay. And you got some liberties. I thought this was actually a pretty good movie. I didn't love it. But considering what I have seen this year so far, it is easily the best movie I've seen all year. It's not even close. It has some problems. It starts a little slow, I guess, is one of my and it's not horribly slow, but you do kind of get to the point where you're like, I'd like some of the, reasons that I came here for those things to start happening. And then I do have my standard, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Horror movie cliche
movies.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Horror movies, like people just making dumb mistakes. But beyond those things, it's an enjoyable ride. And I would recommend it.
Yeah. It was nice to see like Dr. Sleep, I would say, is the last like mainstream feeling horror type movie I liked, that I thought was actually well done and creative, and it seemed like they actually gave a shit.
Yeah.
Most of them I feel like are just loud noises, camera pans left and right.
There were a few jump scares in this where I was like, you cheap fucking bastards.
But see, they were so good at like,
but they kind of didn't like do it too much. I think there was one in particular I was like, you motherfuckers.
Well, what they were smart about is there are scenes in this movie where you're like looking around the screen and they don't pay it off.
Yeah.
They just go to the next scene and it's like, well, you'll never know if he was actually there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they almost set up the jump scare and then they don't give it to you.
Yes. Well, and it'll be an interesting movie to maybe watch back and see if maybe there was something that maybe you did miss. Kind of like you were talking about Hereditary at that one point where she's up in the corner and people didn't see her.
Right.
That would be very, very interesting. But yeah, the reveal of the Invisible Man was very understated, which I liked.
Okay.
But yeah, this is interesting because they really sort of flip it on its head, and it's really not about it's about the Invisible Man, but it's not really about him. It's about the woman that he's dating and sort of the abusive relationship that she finds herself in and the trauma that she's trying to get over.
Yes.
And
the whole concept of like her not being believed, even though in this specific situation, it's like, well, why no one would fucking believe her.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
exactly.
It still works.
It's not like a 1-to-1 comparison of like, oh, don't believe believe the victim. But it's the analogy is not lost on you. And there are times where you're like, yeah, it would be nice if somebody could just listen to her, even though like, we get it. It would be hard. But also there's like a really big fact that they bring up in this movie where I'm like, the second that becomes a thing, I'm like, listen, I'm listening, because she goes, he was leading in optics, optics and like optic technology and cameras and whatnot. I'm like, you know what? The second that somebody says that to me, and the second I see fucking suits in his fucking basement, I'm sorry. I'm gonna listen.
We'll get back to the suits thing.
Right.
Spoilers. But,
right.
You son of a bitch.
I didn't spoil anything.
Okay.
There are it's in the first scene of the movie.
I will say this. I thought that it was kind of ballsy to not give us the guy with the wrapping around his face and the glasses and the trench coat and whatever.
Yeah.
The last Invisible Man movie I remember was Hollow Man.
Kevin Bacon.
And I haven't watched that in years.
Right.
I remember kind of liking it back when I was younger.
Yeah.
I think it probably came out like early 2000s or whatever.
Feels like a movie that probably doesn't age well, but yeah, you probably liked it at the time.
Right, but
yeah.
I'm not like I'm so I'm not begging to see a movie like that again. I know what that movie is.
Yeah.
It's not only done in Invisible Man movies, it's done in any movie where you need a bunch of exposition at the beginning.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't really have that. It's simple enough where it just gets right to the point.
It skips it.
Yeah. And then you're just, okay, well, this is kind of creepy. Putting yourself in her shoes. Like, is there someone there? Am I crazy? Like that whole thing. One thing I will say about this is that the trailers like put scenes in them that were not in the movie.
There's a specific line, I believe, in the like there's somebody sitting in that chair, I believe is the one. And I kept waiting for him to be sitting in the chair.
Right. And there's another part where Well, they set up something where it doesn't actually happen. What's your grade for this? We might as well just get
I'll probably give it like
here.
I'm like a B or a B minus.
Yeah, I'll give it a B plus. I liked it.
Yeah.
But no, the scene I'm talking about, spoilers. So there was the one where she's laying in bed and he's snapping pictures of her.
Yeah.
And then in the trailer, she wakes up and sees the camera like floating in the air and it drops up. And then in the movie,
that's
I'm
not
like,
there.
You sons of bitches.
Yeah, because in the trailer, you'd be like, I get why they put it in the trailer, and I also get why it's not in the movie, because the second you see a floating camera, you're like, it's all over.
Right.
The movie is over.
Well, okay, so what I like about it is, we've talked about before how do you make a trailer that makes someone want to see the movie but doesn't spoil the movie?
This is how.
That's how, right? You take the shit that you didn't use.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm sure almost every fucking movie has stuff like this.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well, we could try this, we could do that. And then you put it in. The only thing like big action scenes that I remember being in the trailer, and it wasn't an action scene, I shouldn't call it that, but there was the one where he's breathing behind her.
Yep.
I think that was in the trailer.
It was.
And then there's the one, and I don't even know if it was the same, where she's like, oh, I see you, and stabs him in like the leg or whatever, I remember in the trailer. And she says that line in the movie, but I'm not sure how it's cut together. But by the way, thought that scene was awesome when he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
That was fun. We've seen scenes like that before recently, but it was clever.
It was
little
fun.
Action scene.
It's a fun little movie.
It is.
It's a fun little movie. It's got a little bit something to say. Like I said, there's a lot of frustration with spoilers.
Yeah, we're in spoilers. Go for it.
There's frustration with how sort of stupid she is sometimes.
Sure.
There's a point where she finds out that the phone is up, her boyfriend has killed himself. Now, obviously, he's the man who has developed the invisible suit, and he's stalking her, and he's gonna make her feel like she's insane. Like that's the plot, that's the goal. She calls his phone. It's up in the attic of the friend's house that she's staying in.
Yep.
She goes up there and she spends way too much time up there, considering that she knows he's in the fucking house with her.
Yes.
And then he texts his phone saying surprise. And then she's like, and it's funny. She does a lot of things. Like she's running, like at the beginning of the movie, she's running with a flashlight in the dead of night, running away from the house after the car alarm goes off. And I'm like, you know what a flashlight is? It's a fucking bat
come
signal.
find me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, you fucking moron. And there are so many moments where like, just go or just do this. And there are moments where sometimes I lose a little sympathy for her. Because I'm like, you're too dumb. You're too fucking dumb.
She doesn't represent the intelligent woman the way that the
I don't think so.
No.
I think they cast her because she's really good at looking insane, and that's part of the angle.
I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
So she has played the woman in Mad Men who is representative of like the women being badly treated in that era.
Yeah.
And then she was in the Handmaid's Tale, which I haven't watched, but from what I understand, that's the theme of the show, women being, so. And now she's in this. Is she just relegated to the
downtrodden woman?
Yes.
Yeah. I think she kind of is, because she's got sort of like the sort of every woman kind of look. Like she's not Hollywood pretty, and that's not an insult to her. It's just kind of a fact. I think she would probably admit that of herself. And I think that's exactly why she was chosen. Just like she even makes, and I am so glad that the movie brought this up, because this dude is rich beyond fucking belief. And yet he's dating somebody who's very plain Jane, kind of normal woman. It's like, this dude easily could have models. He could be having orgies every night.
But he can control her.
Her, and that's his thing. And it's like, I like that. I like that you answered your own question, because I was like, there's no way this dude would be with her.
It was perfect.
But it was perfect because he's a fucking psychopath. It's also interesting that he's not a character. He's really not much of a character. You learn about him through how she describes him, but he doesn't have an arc. He's not really there. He's a force of nature more than anything else. And that's
He's
interesting.
basically representing her truth, quote unquote.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he is the demon, her thing that she has to cope with.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. There's another scene, by the way, with her where she's talking about how he takes you in and locks you up and controls you, your thoughts, your whatever. And I'm just like, you're a big Scientologist, Elizabeth Moss.
Oh, is she?
Oh, big time.
Oh, I did not know that. Did not know that about her.
And I'm just sitting there like,
that's interesting.
yeah. Have you seen any of those documentaries, or are you not allowed on the internet?
Now I know. Oh my God, Tom's still pulling strings.
Right? Old Tommy.
Tom's pulling
he's getting
strings.
it done. But no, I mean, individual scenes like that doesn't bother me so much, the attic thing, because it's like, okay, well, if she knows he's there, there's really no way out because he's going to be standing right where the door is to go up to the attic. So I'll let that go. But
my thought is why does she have to look at everything that he has up there and have her back turned? It's like, there's one entrance to this room and you're spending like 5 minutes looking at his shit when your answer is already, he's alive. He's in the house.
I wouldn't go up there.
I wouldn't go up there. So many mistakes.
But then she she throws paint at him,
which is
because it's an open paint can standing in the attic, which they tried to explain it because they are painting the house.
Sure.
But no one just leaves a fucking paint can open up in the fucking attic.
Also, it's kind of weird that they're like, we're painting the house, but you know what? Well, were they done painting the house at that point? I guess maybe I should have
I think they were still painting the house.
Because it's kind of like, well, we're done with the paint. Goes up in the attic. And it's like, well, aren't you going to keep painting?
Put the lid on the paint.
Yeah.
Set it
Hammer
outside
it in.
the door.
You never know when somebody's going to scuff it up and you're going to have to roll it out again.
But it was pretty cool when she threw the paint and it hit him.
Well, and then it hit him, and then you realize that he's got a suit because he's like golf ball man.
Yeah, well, no, that was interesting because I was like, because that was in the trailer, I think.
That I don't remember in the trailer, but okay.
But when I saw it in the trailer, I'm like, that's weird. Okay. And I didn't really figure out what was going on exactly, even though they had the optics thing, which is kind of a hint, but the original Invisible Man was an optics guy too.
Right.
So
I was hoping that he would be an actual monster, a man that actually mutated himself to become invisible. That's a monster. There's something sort of inherently, I don't want to say tragic about it, but it's a little bit more creepy when it's not something he can just take off.
But it works. It works better if he's your main character, if you're going to do it that way, which wasn't what this movie did. Right. So
I like the look of the suit, though.
Yeah.
And it was kind of sufficiently creepy the first time you see it because you're like, oh, God, what the fuck did he do to himself? Because you don't know at that point. Right. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of good creepy shit in this. My favorite shit in this is when you're just in a quiet room and she's walking around the kitchen or the living room or whatever, just freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there.
And then the camera pans down a hall and there's nothing there. And it just keeps going. It will just leave her for a little while and then come back to her. Yeah. Just to kind of let you be like, is he there? Is he not there?
And he could be, he could not be. They don't answer most of the time.
It's kind of like watching an indie film because it's like there's no special effects. No, it's literally just a camera looking down a hallway.
That's the brilliance of it.
It is, but it's
so
also
cheap.
It's so cheap. It's so cheap, and it's so. And even when you think about CGIing like somebody out of a scene, that's so cheap and easy nowadays that it's funny because it's so obvious how easy this movie was to make from a special effects standpoint because it's very easy to do these now. So it's great that because I'm not going to be marveled by an Invisible Man anymore.
Right.
So it's so great that they took the angle of let's follow a character through trauma. That's interesting.
Yeah. Make an actual scary Invisible Man movie.
Yes.
Not an action movie where
I would never
someone like Tom Cruise is running around.
Right. I wouldn't call it scary, but it was there were moments of it being a little tense.
I think it's sufficiently scary.
I thought
it was it had the moments of, oh shit, I mean, you got to remember, you've seen enough of these where
Right.
you're not scared.
Right.
You're not going to sit there like
I'm entertained.
gripping at the person with you.
Right.
Yeah. But it's a fun ride and you're always on the lookout. And someone who is afraid of shit like this would probably be sufficiently scared by this.
Sure.
I would imagine.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's not disturbing.
No. And that was something where I was like, the first time and I wouldn't say scared, but I was concerned was at the end of the movie because I was like, I like black man. Don't kill black man. And
I did too.
And he is beating the shit out of this dude. And I'm like, and that was actually
Black
kind of
man.
I don't know.
thought you were talking about the guy's suit.
Oh, no.
I thought you had renamed
No.
That's Black Man. He wears black.
No, but I really liked the black dude in it. I don't remember anyone's name.
I thought I liked him. I liked the daughter.
The daughter?
I thought was good.
Yeah.
I liked all three of them.
Whole cast is good.
Yeah.
Whole cast is
Small
good.
cast.
Small cast. It's how you save money.
Yes.
But I just that was actually kind of hard to watch was just because he was just mercilessly beating him.
Well, and that's a testament to the movie that you gave a shit enough in a movie like this about some side character. Right.
Not even the main character.
To
In fact,
actually care.
In fact, I was more scared for him than I ever was for her in the entire movie.
Well, because you actually feel like he's going to possibly die.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that could happen.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, I never was scared for the girl dying. That would have been something. Like, once again, I'm advocating for the death of children.
Yes. I mean, that's a heavy moment, though, right?
It's a thing where, like, I'm sorry, but we do. As a society, we have rules in movies, and, like, killing children just seems to be, doesn't matter if, like he's a bad guy, he's a horrible human being, he eats people.
He won't kill the children.
He can't kill the children.
I think you're right. If Michael would have killed that baby, that would have been some disturbing shit.
It would have been horrific.
Yeah. It would have made more sense for the character as they presented him. Anyways. It's really enjoyable. The action sequence in the hallway is fucking sweet. It was really,
but it's straight out of another movie, though.
Yes, right. But it also the way they did the suit with it, like,
yes,
yeah, it was just cool.
Loved it.
I also love. Even though it doesn't make much sense, I love the scene where the sister gets killed in the restaurant.
That was maybe my favorite scene.
Holy shit.
Just because I did not see it coming.
Right.
I was kind of like, oh, this is where they reunite and they reconnect, and it's the movie about, like, trusting the victim and blah 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 and all of that. And then the movie's like, nope, fuck that.
No, it's great. What's funny about that too is, like, you're like, afterwards you think about it and you're like, well, duh, like, he's invisible. Like, you're just so used to watching a movie. You're not thinking about the fact, unless they have it set up in such a way where it's like, okay, obviously the camera's panning. We're supposed to think he's there.
Yeah.
But in that scene, it was just like, oh, standard, like, over the shoulder shot, reverse shot scene. Yeah. You have the scene where they come together, kiss and make up or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no. We're just going to slit her throat and kill her.
In public.
And you know what's funny about that too? My first thought was, okay, well, what if someone was looking at their table? They would be like, but then you're like, but I don't even, like, I feel like if you saw that happen yourself that quickly, I don't think your brain could put that in place where,
no, you'd be like,
I
wow,
must have seen some crazy shit.
You're like, wow, she threw it really weird.
You'd be like,
she had like a boomerang knife or something. Like, you would find a way to make it make sense in your own head. What else is there? Yeah, I mean, the action sequence was straight out of an action movie. Sure. But that was kind of fine because it was pretty badass.
It was.
I did love the scene where she I like the beginning of that scene where she's like, there you are, motherfucker. And she stabs him and she just keeps stabbing. And I'm like, I love this. Why weren't you like this earlier in the movie? And I kind of get it because, like, it's the idea, like, she was so scared that she couldn't, like, think straight or whatever. But I'm like,
she's got no options at that point too.
Right. Well, and I was just kind of like, I don't understand why you made so many mistakes earlier in the movie. Like, when she goes to the guy's house, and she finds the suit and she hides it in his closet. She shuts the door and then she she's just so bad at so many things. Like she looks out of the crack of the door. And I'm like, you know what? That really helps when there's an invisible man chasing you. Looking really helps.
How come? Do we know what happened to the Uber driver? Did he take her back home?
He took her back home. Yeah. Yeah. Why didn't he
Did
kill the Uber driver?
Not see the Uber driver?
I mean, he had to have, right? But the question is like,
why would he have?
Why would he have let him live?
Yeah.
I mean, we're nitpicking it.
No, but that's dumb though. That's dumb.
He
a paint can without a lid sitting in an attic is fucking dumb.
He could have been like, all right, so I'll get her and then I'll kill him when I come back. That could have been the thought. But it's also like, why not just kill him now?
Yeah. Take the car, move the car, get rid of the keys. She has no way to get away.
Right, exactly. So many ways. I mean, that was my first thought, was like, she's somehow going to get out of the house and then he's going to be dead. And she's going to go into the car and the keys will be missing.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. But no, movie didn't do that. But I mean, that's not where the movie wanted to have its climax at that point, but they really wanted to have that hallway scene.
Yes.
They wanted their Daredevil hallway scene.
It was great. I really liked the hallway scene. I thought it was awesome. What do you think of the ending? How her getting
the suit and getting her revenge on him? I like it and I don't like it. I mean, because we all knew that he was really the one who did it, not the brother.
Right. Yeah, there's no mystery at that point.
But I didn't like how that scene was edited. And mostly it's because the movie has two massive time jumps. One is the paint falls on him and then he washes it off in 5 seconds, which just makes zero sense because it's everywhere on him.
It would be everywhere. There's no fucking way that he would have gotten all that paint off.
Exactly. And then the other problem was at the end of the movie, he starts killing himself. And then the movie, it's edited in a way where it looks like she comes out almost immediately after he slits his throat. And I'm like, who's her partner? Somebody had to do that for her.
Wait a minute. You don't mean he literally kills himself.
No,
you mean that she makes
does
it look like he did it.
She does it with the invisible suit on. She slits his throat. But then the way the scene is edited is he's kind of falling out of his chair. And then she's like right fucking there coming out of the bathroom. I'm like, how the fuck?
It's an easy on, easy off suit.
I guess so. And you don't have to fix your hair at all or anything. I mean, I know that's kind of a nitpick, but it just was unbelievably fast.
It drives me nuts that he didn't realize that his suit was missing.
Yeah, he's supposed to be some sort of psychotic genius.
And he knows that she knows he's invisible, and he knows that she knows to look wherever. She went to the house for some reason.
Yep.
So she found the suit, she turned it on, saw it was a suit, takes it, hides it in the closet. And it's like when he got home, he just assumed, oh, it's an invisible suit. I don't need to check if it's there. It's just invisible. That's why I can't see it.
Actually, we're kind of answering our own question because she leaves in the Uber.
Okay.
He's kind of got to chase her like right away.
Okay.
That's kind of like, I actually feel like that's actually kind of a valid counter to what we're saying.
Yeah, but he, at least even after he, they find him, like he's living in his house, he would have looked to see if that fucking suit was there. He doesn't have a suit.
Maybe
he gave it to the brother.
Maybe he had like a Joe Goldberg, like too many balls being juggled. He's like, I got to put myself in my cage.
It doesn't make any sense. That bothered me. But again,
it's not a perfect movie.
It's not about any of this shit, first of all.
Right.
And
how do you feel?
That's certainly not a perfect movie.
How do you feel about her doing that?
I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it. Even though it's like, oh, are we excusing murder now?
Right.
That was interesting.
The black man, I love him.
He was great.
But at the end of the day, bad cop. He just had the woman admit to murder in front of him, basically.
Yeah, she essentially says, what does she say? Like, how you can't prove it or what?
I don't even remember, but I mean, it's basically, she's like, so what do you think it sounded like? And he's like, it sounded like he killed himself.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of like the last line, and she smirks at him and then walks away.
It's just funny that it's vigilante justice. And I get it. Like, this guy was a complete asshole, but is murder. Like, I'm surprised that they took the route of,
my hope is
that I was going to say, but if she's going to like be overcome with the power of this thing, if that's the idea, then I really like that.
Well, there are so many ways, and then we can probably take this and sort of run with
into
into
the dark universe.
Yeah. So my thought is there are a few things you can do with like the Invisible Man that kind of like, and with her continuing her character. So you could do something like she's the vigilante justice kind of character. She's the Invisible Woman. She kills abusive men.
Sure.
And it's a little comic booky, but whatever. That movie was actually kind of comic booky already. But you could also do, and this is something that's happened in comics also, is people put on a suit or whatever, and it has effects on their brain. And I like the idea of like, I love the idea of somebody being either the suit being fused to their body, so it's basically they are the Invisible Man, they can't get it off, or that the suit actually does something like to their brainwaves to actually start making them go insane.
I would rather, because, okay, I'm with you on that. Either of those suitable, but I imagine having a suit like that.
Sure.
And I can't imagine not abusing.
Absolutely.
So I think that you can work this into kind of what the original Invisible Man stories were all about.
Right.
Where it's like, well, I shouldn't spy on this person,
sure,
but I mean, I do have the suit. Maybe if I just do this one time, and then it turns into...
She's female Joe Goldberg.
Right. Yes.
Totally on board. I'm doing a lot of You references. It's because I just started watching it. We'll get into it.
Now, what would work better, Joe Goldberg's hat or the Invisible Man suit?
I mean, it's not even a question. But Joe Goldberg's hat is pretty magical.
I mean, it's solid.
It's solid. It works. It works. It works every time, even in hot as fuck LA. But anyways, so there are ways to make that work. I was a little disappointed at the end of the movie because I was like, there's really an interesting way that you could have done it where he stayed alive and then he's the Invisible Man. Because you could have dealt with like the whole, like, it's an abuser and maybe he thought that this was love. Like, there was a way you could have handled his character, him moving forward. And then there's actually what makes a universe, what makes really, let's just call it what it is. What makes the Marvel universe work is that characters have arcs that last over movies, and they have interesting personalities that you want to see interact with the other characters.
Now, most of the villains are pretty one and done, though. So if we're using that, then we can just think of this guy as the first villain. He's the Obadiah Stone character of Invisible Man, right?
Yeah. And she's the main character. She's Iron Man. She's your Iron Man, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. But that's what I'm saying is, like, we need to make her interesting. We need to make her have a lasting arc throughout multiple movies, or at least we have to have her be in a place that at the end of this movie, which I am interested to see where she goes from here.
If they do another one,
or if they do a crossover of some kind.
Right.
I want to like Dracula or Frankenstein or whoever it is enough that I want to, and they have to be different enough that I want to see how these two are going to play together. Now, that's kind of why I wish that we had gotten maybe like a pro or an epilogue scene of some kind, either post-credit or not.
Well,
with what she does with the suit of some kind, or a hint as to what's happening.
To your point, what is she if she's not the abused? You know what I mean? Like what's left of her character if she's not the abused? We don't know.
You have to full on. That's sort of. You have to full on take her into fully new territory now.
Yeah.
She has to have a new arc. But then, like, I mean, I'm trying to think, like, we can't do the Marvel action horror idea.
No, we're not doing that.
We're never going to do that's it, because it doesn't work, because one, these are horror movies, not action movies. Two, the idea of like having them be like semi like anti-heroes that save the world is a horrible idea because it robs them of all of their luster.
It's not fun at all.
No.
No.
So I don't want to see a superhero team of Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Invisible Man teaming up to stop Van Helsing, who's like, oh, the whole world is monsters or whatever. I don't want to see that. So we need to now think of like, is this like a semi-versus movie where maybe it's like one of them versus another versus another?
I mean, who the fuck knows? Do we even need this? I mean,
well,
do we
don't.
need it to be a universe?
We don't.
But we're going to talk about it anyway.
Right. We're already. I mean, come on.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
We don't need it. We don't need any movies, but this is kind of fun. And I kind of would like to see it if it's done well.
Sure. Why not?
I kind of would like to see it even if it's not done well.
Just for the
shits of it. Yeah.
Now, okay, so we've talked about we're getting Dracula.
Yes.
And then we're getting one more and we don't know what it is.
And we don't know what it is. Yeah.
Okay. So we're working on the assumption that we're in a new universe. We're assuming this is a universe. I'm going to assume that anything that is supernatural is off the table.
Okay, so
that's where I'm going with this.
So Dracula
you need a technological or scientific explanation for these characters.
Sure. So Dracula is not turning into bats. He's not turning into wolves. He might be able to hypnotize people, sucks blood, whatever. But
Dracula is a sick man who needs blood transfusions constantly, and he's a murderer. And he's a good-looking, murdering, sick man. He's got some sort of degenerative failure. He needs blood transfusions. You got to have blood involved somehow. I was thinking maybe like a Dexter-like character, but then we're going too much into the territory of him being a good guy.
I'm really trying to be open to this.
Okay.
I'm really trying.
He can't be a vampire.
Does he wear a cape? Can he wear a cape?
Ooh.
Does he have slightly longer canine teeth? There's no mutation. It's just that he
maybe he built something. Maybe, okay, it doesn't have to be transfusions. He doesn't have to be like a doctor, but he needs blood to survive. He's not a vampire. That's just silly in this universe.
Okay.
We've already established like, oh, the Invisible Man isn't actually an invisible man. So I feel like if this is a universe, now we've set the precedent that there cannot be anything that doesn't have some sort of a real world explanation. That's what I'm going on.
Okay. I'm going to let you do that.
Okay. Now, Frankenstein.
I have a massive counterpoint, but yes.
Frankenstein. Okay. What was that Johnny Depp movie where they take the consciousness of people and they put it in the computer?
Oh, shit. I started watching it. It's terrible.
Anyway, that idea. So instead of one brain of one person with body parts of, multiple people to create Frankenstein, we're doing either a robot.
Oh, no.
Or we're doing... And it can look human. It can look big and scary and whatever. Or we're doing one body with multiple different consciousnesses uploaded into it.
Okay.
So we're flipping that so it's the opposite.
Okay.
Okay.
You're losing the iconography of the look of the character, though.
We already did that. We already lost it. We lost it.
Okay.
The first movie, we lost it. We flipped it on its head. Okay. The only thing is he's invisible.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. I can't even remember. The other ones are those are stupid too. But this is what I'm working with here, guys.
I feel like we're in the Zack Snyder version of this.
Okay. So we've got Invisible Man has the high tech suit. Dracula needs blood transfusions, but he's a guy. Frankenstein's the robot with uploaded intelligence from multiple people. So he's the opposite.
Sure.
Okay. Obviously Frankenstein, that would be the monster. So we still have room to play with who the Dr. Frankenstein is.
Sure. Right.
Now these are the ones. Okay. Oh, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, of course.
Sure.
He's just a psycho. He's like a psychologist, smart guy, multiple personality disorder. He's easy.
Sure.
He's just but you don't have him transform into like a fucking giant
But he
hulking
walks
monster.
differently. He acts differently.
Right. Yes, he's like Clark Kent, Superman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Great
now-
example because they look so much different.
Now, but they act different.
They act
right?
different. Yep.
Okay, so the last two, which I have a lot of trouble with here.
Okay.
Wolfman. I don't know what the fuck to do with Wolfman. I don't know how you can make Wolfman.
It's just a really
real
hairy
thing.
guy in your universe.
He could be,
And he's just really tired of being teased about it.
like what Andre the Giant had. Like he's he's got that giant disease or whatever, something like that.
See,
or you just don't do Wolfman. And the other one, the only thing I know about the Mummy is he's some sort of a historian. Maybe he breaks at some point. He's obsessed with mummies and he is the Mummy.
Sure.
But none of these characters have anything supernatural. All of the science needs to be like, you need to be able to see it like the Invisible Man costume and go, okay, that's not realistic because we can't create that right now, but it's possible.
So my question is you've sort of come up with, you've come up with like the TV version because like you could do this on TV if you need to. Because there's not a whole lot of special effects for these people.
No, they're cheap movies. They're cheap movies.
My question is have you thought about, so we're doing this universe. It's a shared universe. All shared universes, or at least most of them, have the end goal of interaction between characters.
That's the assumption we're making, right?
In big crossover movie. What is your thought on plot or how it might happen?
I got nothing. I just set the characters up. These are all the
So you really got nothing.
No, these are all the individual singular movies.
Okay.
Now, obviously you have to like bake shit in, right? Like Marvel did, little nuggets, right?
Sure.
But Invisible Man had no nuggets whatsoever. I mean, we don't know if this is even the plan whatsoever.
Right.
All I'm saying is, assuming that this is the direction we're going, because the Invisible Man bucked the trend of this is a supernatural thing. These monsters aren't necessarily monsters in the literal sense. They're monsters because of the people they are.
Sure. I'm starting to think. So I'm thinking about. So I walked in thinking like, let's just have a discussion about how we could possibly do this. I don't have a pitch per se. I have thoughts and I have things that they should and should not do.
Okay, let's hear it.
So now I'm sort of thinking of like, so you're like, oh, we've got all of these individual movies. And I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of like Marvel. Like, does every single one of them need their own movie? Or could you perhaps make Werewolf be a minor character in Dracula?
Sure.
That then pays off in the massive crossover movie.
Yeah. He's like who's a character? I mean,
he's like
Black
the Hawkeye or a Black Widow.
Right.
Yeah. So thought being, I'm not going to say you can't do supernatural things because my thought is what makes Marvel interesting is that not every one of them is from the same universe. Like they are, but they cover different angles.
Some people have special powers. Some people have a suit.
Some people are like representative of magic, like Thor's traditionally like, oh, I'm magic. It's not really magic. They're kind of like, oh, magic and science. We call it the same thing, blah, blah, blah. But
this isn't Marvel though.
This is a series that has all of that.
Here's the problem though. Here's why Invisible Man worked for me, even though it was different, is because I've seen fucking Dracula and the Wolfman and the Mummy, and it's always the same shit. They always have the same like basic thing. So if you're gonna do it where I would rather see the movie where they completely turn it on its head. And now that I've seen this and this worked, I would rather see the movie where they completely turn it on its head. It's a brand new take on it.
I would disagree that it's really taking and turning it on its head. All it really was instead of being a man, it was a suit. I don't consider that turning it on its head because it still had the traditional idea of like a stalker and like this man doing things he should not do with this suit. It still felt like an Invisible Man movie to me. It was different, but it still felt the same to me.
I don't think it did necessarily.
I mean, it
weren't
was
in his head.
But that's the thing is like he still felt like the Invisible Man character to me.
Right, but you can make the characters realistic and still have them. You could have some of the same tropes and ideas and have to come up with a different creative way of creating the scares, so to speak.
Right.
I mean, theoretically, you could make a real Dracula who, is kind of a suave fuck or whatever you want to do.
Well, that you can't. That's the thing is it's very much like Marvel in that you cannot rob them of like the iconography of who they are as far as a personality.
Sure.
And sort of what they represent to their universe. So Dracula can't go from being this suave guy to all of a sudden being like this sickly, ugly motherfucker. Like we can't, we could never.
But he is ugly in most stories at one point.
At one point, yeah. But I mean, he can't stay that because like the traditional thought is like Dracula in his prime is this sexy motherfucker. So it's got to be that. So you have to keep sort of what keeps that. Now you could have a scientific reasoning behind it. I like the idea of Dracula being kind of like Thor in that he's just kind of left a little unexplained. He just exists. We don't know what caused him. Maybe he doesn't even know what caused him. Maybe, but it's a thing.
Okay.
And I think that
Is he immortal? Does he have to be immortal?
I mean, I feel like that's an angle. I feel like that's a traditional angle that you probably have to keep. Okay. Or if not keep, at least keep him, traditionally like long lived. He's got to be like 150 or something, or 120, but 120, but maybe he looks like he's 45 or 50. And maybe the idea is maybe he's not immortal, but maybe he just ages really slowly.
Okay.
But I like the idea of like maybe Dracula in the effort to solve his problem inadvertently causes the werewolf to actually become a thing, like through genetic manipulation. Maybe because I mean, if Dracula's really that old and that smart,
sounds like the lab shit.
Right. And I'm not saying that's the main focus of your movie. It's literally just there to create werewolf, and werewolf needs very little time.
It's Wolfman.
Whatever.
Okay.
Wolfman. I don't fucking care.
Benicio del Toro, Wolfman. He played the Wolfman.
I do remember that movie.
I actually think that's an underrated movie. I liked it.
It was okay.
I liked
okay.
Wolfman.
But the thing is like, I am married to the idea the iconography needs to stay. Wolfman needs to be a Wolfman. Now, he can look slightly different. You can redesign the character.
But he's a Wolfman.
Yeah, but he is a Wolfman.
When the moon comes out, he turns into the Wolfman.
I don't know about moon comes out. Because that is something where we're getting into what you're talking about, the supernatural idea. There's no... Like, okay, so what I would say is like the idea of somebody doing genetic manipulation and fucking it up and having a Wolfman be the
it could be like some sort of
that's
fucked
way
up. Right.
That's way more believable to me.
Yeah, there you go.
Than actually the invisible suit that they have in
this. That's a good Wolfman idea.
Because that's the only way. But the thing is like you just do it in the background. You don't even like in a Dracula movie.
Got it.
And it's just like little, like you're saying, little nuggets.
Right. That's your nugget to the Wolfman.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll pop up later.
Maybe he
won't.
don't
know when.
But we're not going to spend a whole movie on his research or the first 20, 30 minutes of his movie on his research.
Yes, sure.
We don't need that.
Okay.
But my thought is like my real interesting, like how do they interact? Why are they coming together?
That's the tough one to solve with this.
Well, and it's always going to be what separates Marvel from everything else because there are already stories about it.
Right.
They were built on the idea of that.
They can reach for whatever.
Right.
Right.
So for me, it's kind of like you have to do something from scratch. And it's kind of like, I think it's interesting, the idea that one of them, they're all villains.
Yes. I don't think... Do they all need to be villains?
I think you need sort of archetypes. So you need one of them to kind of be like the reluctant villain. You need one who just revels in it. Yeah. You need to have one that believes that what they're doing is right. And then you need, I think those are kind of like the three. And you
So
can have
who's our
people.
protagonist? Like, are we just on the side of the villains in these?
No, I think what you have is if it's villains, and it's kind of villains versus villains, you have one who is clearly like more wrong or maybe threatened by the other ones.
Like
I think
Alien versus Predator, Freddy versus Jason. You have Freddy's the one that's like the evil son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And Jason's still a villain. He's still a bad guy, but you kind of feel sorry for him.
Right.
Right.
And you need to do something where, and it sucks that those are the two comparisons, but
I love Freddy versus Jason. Fuck everyone. I think it's fun.
But you need to do, and I think the best character to do it with would be Dracula, even though it's kind of predictable, to make him the villain because
he's the most evil. Like, yeah.
He's just easy to do because he's the one who fits closest to like the mastermind status and like being able to fuck with other people. He probably would have enough wealth to be able to do that. So it's kind of like he's the villain that the villains are fighting against. And maybe it's the idea of like, maybe Invisible Woman comes up to somebody, maybe it's Wolfman, maybe it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, whatever, and is like, look, I know what you are, and he's coming for all of us kind of idea. And it's kind of like, and I don't fucking, the problem is like I keep ending up in a fucking action movie.
You keep ending up in a Marvel territory.
Right. And it's like
hard. I don't even know if it's doable.
Right.
I don't even know if a horror shared universe that's like this overarching thing that's going to go on for a while is doable. I mean, Frankenstein's monster is clearly the, oh, you feel bad for this guy character.
Yes, yeah.
He's like the tragic tale.
Right. Dracula will be the one that can, and Dracula can be tragic, but for our purposes, maybe he goes back to being a little bit more maniacal.
He's gone over the edge.
Yeah.
He's
something happens in his individual movie that pushes him, to the brink.
Like you can suffer the tragedy of living forever or however long you've lived, but it doesn't mean you need to turn into a monster.
Right.
And Dracula did anyway.
Right. I like the idea of actually maybe there's something that gave him hope that he could maybe he secretly wants to die in this iteration. Sure. And maybe something like through his research, through maybe whatever created Wolfman, finds out like he can't die, he just can't fucking die. And so he just kind of goes off the edge and it's just like, fuck it. There is nothing for me after this. There's nothing beyond this. Fuck it. I'm done. I'm
not against that.
I don't know. This was almost like a writer's pitch meeting.
I mean, I'm still with the cheesy idea of you have to somehow, if you want to do something you could somehow make all of these characters legitimately explainable. Would I like every example? Probably not.
Right.
But I think it would be kind of neat to see, Dracula's not a vampire, and I don't know what the fuck the Wolfman is. Do we need a Wolfman? Is Wolfman interesting in a movie in modern times?
Right.
Because some of them are more the Mummy. I'm kind of done with the Mummy.
Is there anything interesting about the Mummy? The problem with the Mummy is that the Mummy kind of, from a character perspective, actually kind of intersects with Dracula because they both kind of like, I'm ageless, I'm timeless, I'm cursed, I'm undying. And it's and it's like, but you check the same boxes.
You've done it already, right?
So
it's a good point. Like if you made The Mummy with Brendan Fraser and it was like a vampire movie,
right,
where he had special powers and could send bats into the city, and it's like the same fucking movie.
Yeah. It's true. I don't, it's very, very tough. They actually kind of did it in an interesting way, and maybe the most interesting way. I mean, maybe it's staring us right in the face. Maybe the way that you make it interesting is you have an interesting character that has to interact with the traditional version of this character. And then by the end of that, they become a somewhat new version of the character.
And then they all meet at a meeting for scorned lovers,
right? I mean,
divorcees.
And then there's the thing of like, you do this movie. I mean, who's to say that just because they were all horror movies up to that point, means that it needs to be a horror movie. I guess because people like to see things in the same genre they've always been in, but it's kind of like, couldn't you just do a movie where they all sit down and have interesting conversations?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
It's a Tarantino movie, but they're all monsters.
Give Tarantino the 7th movie in the series.
I swear to God, he would fucking make a masterpiece.
Yeah, he probably would. It'd probably be pretty good. Like The Hateful Eight, only it's all the monsters.
Yes. They're all locked in Dracula's summer home.
Right, or it's Castle. Yeah, summer home. I like that.
It's not traditional. We've already been in the castle in his first movie.
They're on the beach at night. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got for the Dark Universe, really.
I mean, I've got nothing for the Dark Universe. I mean, I think we'll that's very evident.
That's exciting that these little indie type Dark Universe movies are being made. It
is very hard for me to abandon the idea of a shared universe just because it's so ingrained in me now. I'm like, can you do it?
Well,
can you pull it off?
That one company does own all this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, the Universal logo is going to play before all of these.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is like until now they've been fucking it up for years because
they don't know, like, these are hard characters to work with because they're just the paint with the broadest of strokes, and they're really just monsters. Are they really characters? I mean, you can almost
some of them are,
but is the Mummy? Not really.
No, yeah.
I mean, is Wolfman really a character? He's kind of a character,
kind of a tragic character.
But it's like
yeah. In general, they've failed over. I mean, and the other problem is everyone knows all these stories. It's almost like you don't even have to have read any of the books or seen any of the movies. You just know.
Right.
You just know who they all are. So there's like, even if you've never seen an Invisible Man movie, you're still going in with the expectation of what the Invisible Man is just from its pop culture relevance. So.
Well, and the thing that sucks, I just thought about this. Split is essentially like a cool version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And it's kind of already just taken. It's already been taken. So what do we do? I mean, it sucks. Like, what do you do? Like, I don't envy anybody who has to sit down and write these movies unless they had like that magical spark. You're like, oh, this is a fucking genius idea. You just kind of know it.
Give Shyamalan all the characters.
No, definitely don't. After Glass, get the fuck out.
He fucked that up too.
Yeah. But let's do shit we watched.
Whoa. Shit we watched.
In honor of the coronavirus, I was looking through Shudder and I watched an old movie called Contamination.
I've heard of this movie.
It's fucking terrible.
Okay.
It is apparently it was pitched as an Alien sequel in Italy. Like they tried to make it look like it was an Alien sequel.
Oh no.
They're Americans, but none of the actors are American. It's all dubbed.
Oh man.
A ship shows up to the East Coast with these eggs in it. And when the eggs get near heat, they glow and they blow up. And if the slime from the egg hits you, you explode.
Are we sure that this wasn't directed by the same guy who did Trolls 2?
It's not that bad. It's not quite that bad.
Okay.
But the entire movie is exposition. Every scene is like three people standing in a room talking about like, oh, well, there was this man who went to Mars and they saw this cave.
Oh, my God.
And there was this light and it was filled with whatever. And he's an alcoholic, so we don't believe him. but his partner died on an airplane.
Can you... I love the idea that he's just like talking about something else. And then he just sees a guy walk in a room and he goes, and he's an alcoholic. Like he's just like saying everything about everything that like comes into his eye line.
It's basically what the movie was.
That's amazing.
So there's that. I also got halfway through the 1990s The Stand miniseries.
Sure, right. How was that?
So I'm halfway through. There's 4 episodes. I've watched 2. I don't know if I've ever seen this all the way through or if I watched it as a kid, but God, made for TV was just something else back then.
No.
Nowadays, the production value on like these streaming shows and
Everything
these
is really
miniseries.
high.
I'm just thinking about the Dracula show.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that looks great.
It does.
You know, and then The Stand, it's like, you know, that old, all of the shots are the same. Everything feels like it's on a set.
Yeah.
There's one part, there's the Mother Abigail is the old black lady who's like sitting out on her front porch. They're all having these dreams about her, and in all the dreams they like come out of a cornfield, and she's like, come to Nebraska, like we've got a message for you or whatever.
Okay, right.
But the cornfield like set is just,
You're like, that's
it
not
doesn't
real corn.
look real. You can't go drive to a cornfield, build like a little cabin out there and just film it. You
No.
know what I mean?
No, you can't. Not possible. Can't do it.
Stephen King wrote the teleplay for this. There's stuff in there that's fun because I've read the book.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess I like Dauber from Coach. Do you remember Coach, the TV show?
Never watched it.
Oh, God, it's great. But Dauber's like this big, blonde, dumb guy on Coach.
Sure.
And he plays Tom Cullen in this. And he's like slow. Or as Nick Andros, the character played by, oh, God, what's his? Rob Lowe says. He's mildly retarded.
Oh, God.
So this character, though, he runs around saying MOON, that spells Tom Cullen, or MOON, that's the character's thing that he does in the book. And in the book you're reading it and it's like you're creating like
right,
what this
right.
does not work in this at all. There's just a lot of shit like that. The villain's not scary. It does have a good cast though. Gary Sinise is good in it. I think that this is like looked upon in a positive way, but the budget seems very, even compared to like the It miniseries from back in the day, the budget seems way too low. But yeah, it's not very good. It's not horrible. It's not unwatchable, but
Sure.
it's not good.
Okay. I finished The Promised Neverland, season 1.
Okay. And
That anime. It is fucking great. The whole series, it stays great the whole fucking time. There's like not a lull. I think it's 12, maybe 13 episodes long for the first season. And this show, I mean,
you're obsessed with it. Are you obsessed?
Well, no. My thought is like, this has the potential to be a masterpiece. The problems with animes, it kind of reminds me of like American TV, where like a show starts great and then it just keeps going and then it just falls off a cliff.
Sure.
That is the propensity of anime. Most of them. It's why Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is like one of the greatest, or Death Note is one of the greatest, because like they know what their story is and they're not going to stretch it beyond its means.
Sure. Yeah.
If this has that in mind, this could be something special.
It's not going to go on forever and ever.
I hope not. And if it's a 13 episode first season, that leads me to believe that that's what it's going to be even more.
Okay. Because it's not running 25 fucking episodes for
yeah. Or fuck, I've seen animes that have like 40 episode season 1s or season 2s or whatever. So it's like, yeah, no, this is great. Keeping with anime, I watched I've been watching My Hero Academia still. And this season has just been shit.
Oh,
like
really?
This season
I heard the movie's good.
That's what I've heard too. And it looks really cool. I saw a scene from it. I was like, wow, I fucking should have saw that in theaters. Because I think it was a limited time engagement. I think it's out.
Got it.
So the season started great. And then what they kind of do with some animes is kind of actually split a season up into like 2 seasons. So like they had an arc that ended about like 6 or 7 episodes ago.
Sure.
And they've been in a new arc, and it's been about the kids at the superhero high school getting ready to put on a concert. And then there's like a guy who's like, I'm going to break in and ruin your concert. And I'm like, this is the dumbest season of this.
This is like an ongoing story.
Yeah. And I'm like, how is this not a one-off episode? Like, how is this not like, a fun little palate cleanser after like all the intensity of what we just went through?
Doesn't sound fun.
No, it's been bad. It's been easily the worst the series has been.
That sounds bad.
It's not. It's really not good. I have a friend who's been watching it with me, and he's like, dude, I haven't seen like the last 2 episodes, and honestly, after the episode I watched, I don't know if I feel the need to catch up. Now, I don't think that they're done with the show, but I think they're just done with this arc until it turns into a new arc.
Something good again.
Yeah.
I went and saw The Way Back with Ben Affleck.
How was that?
It was really good. It was good. He was great. I'll start with that.
Okay.
He really put on the acting shoes for this movie. Apparently he had gone to treatment semi-recently before this was made.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a passion project for him. And it is, I mean, it has the tropey
you can tell from the
movie. Yeah, you know what it is.
The problem is the trailers tell you exactly what movie it is, and I'm sure it hits every 100%. Beat.
It hits every beat, but there's a reason why these movies come out, because this is a good version of that.
Right.
The movie is less about the team and the sports angle than it is his personal struggle with booze.
Okay.
And any other tragedies that have happened in his life. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you really feel for the character. He doesn't play a drunk like a fucking, stumbling around like an asshole the whole movie.
Sure.
It's much more subtle. There's kind of, religious commentary a little bit, where it's not like one of those Christian movies about,
you gotta find God.
Yeah, it's not like that, but it's almost like, what is that really supposed to be about? Like to the normal people like us, because you meet the dogmatic religious folks, and then you meet the people who seem like actually like this is probably a positive influence on their lives, and it probably makes them a better person. So I liked it a lot. I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B.
My problem is, and I mean, I shouldn't have a problem with Ben, because like what he went through with like alcoholism is nothing to fuck around with.
Right.
But I've seen him in interviews, and I'll tell you, one of the big things that ruined him for me as like somebody who I'm interested in watching is his appearance on Bill Maher.
Oh, that was bad.
He came off like a real asshole.
Have you ever heard Joe Rogan's theory on that?
No.
He thinks that he was on roids at the time for playing Batman, and that he was just like,
because he was wildly aggressive. He was yelling.
He was weird. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, like, and you're not even making good points. Like, that's the problem, is like, you're making horrible points, but you think that if you yell them, it makes you right. I'm like, that's the worst kind of person to be in a conversation with.
He acted very childish. And he needs to know who he's in a conversation with. This was the Sam Harris thing. And Sam Harris is an atheist guy who was talking about religion, and he was specifically talking about issues in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And basically Ben Affleck was like, well, if you say anything bad about religion there, it's racist, and it turned into this big thing. And it was not a good look, but that was long ago. It
was a while ago. It's one of those things. It's kind of like, and it's nowhere near the same, but it's kind of like with Mel Gibson, where I'm like, okay,
that was horrible, right?
Yeah. So I mean, and completely different, and I'm much more readily willing to forgive Ben Affleck.
But you liked Ben Affleck more before you saw that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That was the problem.
And he might be a bit of a douche in real life.
He could be. I mean, I don't know. Like, the thing is I'm like, I wish that you would go and hang out with like Kevin Smith a little bit more, because Kevin Smith seems like he's always going to be kind of like an affable, nice person.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And I always feel like people, if they lose touch with those people, like I feel like it happens when they go to Hollywood and they get too big.
Sure. Start
smelling your own farts a little bit and enjoying it.
He was in the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back or reboot or whatever the fuck it was called.
We missed that. I
saw it.
You did?
I watched it at home. It sucked.
Did it? Okay.
It sucked.
Did you rent it?
Yeah, it was like a on-demand thing. Hey, it sucks.
I'm gonna rent.
You should watch it, but it's like a really cheap, shitty version of Jay and Silent Bob, and the references jokes were okay in those older movies
Right.
because you were referencing real things, but now this movie is just referencing its other movie.
Oh, okay.
The jokes are built around referencing the
that might
first
not
Jay
work.
and Silent
That
Bob
might not
movie.
work so well for me because I haven't seen either of Clerks in a long time, or Jay and Silent Bob in a long time, or Dogma in a long time. So
It also feels cheap, like it was crowdfunded, and I think it might have been.
that sucks.
Yeah,
It sucks because I like Kevin Smith, but it's like,
so do I. But he hasn't made anything really good in a long time.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
He did make a movie called Red State that was kind of about like.
I did hear
Did you
about
ever
that.
see that?
No.
That was pretty good.
I'm interested in that. I'm also interested in Tusk.
I've never seen Tusk. We could review Tusk.
I heard that's actually kind of good. I actually heard it was
I
kind of
would
good.
watch that. I haven't seen it.
But then my last thing that I want for shit we watched was I've watched all of season 1 for You. The show
Okay.
about Joe Goldberg, everybody's dream man, including
He's just great.
yeah, people kind of like shit on this show. I actually don't think it's like, okay, person's telling me, hey, watch this show. You have to get through season 1 to understand season 2. I'm like, okay, fine. Got it. I'll watch
Isn't that every show now?
It is. But they're like, season 2 is way better. You just gotta power through season 1 to get to season 2. And I'm like, okay, so I'll do it. And season 1 has not been, or it was not horrible.
I don't think that those statements are true.
You think season 1 was better than season 2?
There's twists and turns in 2 that I really like, but overall 1 was a little more interesting. I really like the little boy who lives next
Right.
door.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
one of my favorite parts of the show.
Sure.
But God, the show, it's so unbelievably entertaining to watch.
See, yes and no.
Okay.
There were moments where like he's kind of going on dates or he's doing things, and I'm like, I find myself pulling out my phone.
Okay,
and
sure.
And it's not like it's fine, but sometimes I'm like, the problem. I always find the problem to be with a show like this is that it's built around one interesting character. I don't find really many of the other characters interesting. What I found about season 1 that I liked was that it actually kind of dealt with the idea of abusive, unhealthy relationships and the insecurities that both men and women bring to those relationships.
Sure. And it just puts a magnifying glass on all of it.
On all of it. And it's extreme, and it's a TV sort of Lifetime movie
Oh, it's so
version of
Lifetime,
it.
yeah.
But it also hits a lot of it really well about like men and their insecurities and women and their insecurities. And I found some real truths in the show. I'm like, that's kind of real.
Oh, there's parts where you're like, "Ooh, do I do that?"
That's
to
a
an
little-
extent?
that-
It's
you're-
like it's a very blown up version of something maybe I've done.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it there are moments where you're like, oh, that hits a little too close to home.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I'm not a Joe Goldberg because never fucking kill anyone, but you're like, yeah,
But he's
that's,
the guy. He's your guy.
he's the guy. Yeah,
He's your guy on the show.
he is. Well, and then and you're kind of like, well, you're a monster, but I also like, I like you. I like you.
I really like you. I really don't want you to get caught. Every
Yes.
time you're about to get caught, I'm nervous a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, yeah, I just, yeah, you like him, you hate what he does. And I think it might, I don't want to, fuck it. I'm just going to say something stupid. There are people who will be like, oh, well, it puts a wrong light on obsessive males or whatever. And it glorifies them in a way because he's a sexy stalker.
Yeah, sure.
So like this kind of guy probably not going to look like this in real life. Of course, then they say that the people who actually are killers tend to be incredibly charming in real life. So you know what? Fuck me. I'm like both right and wrong at the same time.
If anyone is watching this, like,
I want Joe Goldberg.
if
There's
they're
something
not just
wrong with
having
them.
fun with this and
Right.
realizing what it is.
Right.
It's like watching like Jason from the Friday the 13th movies and acting like
He's a hero.
he's like a real guy.
Right, yeah.
I mean, nobody watches Friday the 13th to cheer on the big boobed bimbo who's running around in the forest, right?
Yeah, you're there to watch some gore.
And it doesn't mean that, and there are people who think like that, though.
Right.
We need to stop this movie series because it's, it glorifies the killing and kids are cheering. And it's like, give me a fucking break. I don't know. But I think he's a fun character.
He's a fun character. He's fun to watch. And they do just enough to make you be like, I see your point.
And the performance is good, I think.
Yeah. No, like I said, though, he is easily the best part of the show.
100%.
I found the love interest in the first season to be a little unlikable and a little stupid. I found her friend, Peach, I believe is her name. The really rich.
She was
erudite.
the chick in that, I think, my worst movie of the year, maybe last year, of the morgue chick.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Hannah Grace, Possession of Hannah Grace. Yeah.
Don't say that name out loud.
Hated her.
Okay.
Hated her.
Like in the way you're supposed to hate her, or you think that it's just a weak ass character that's just.
It's both. It's both. I hated her in the way that the show wanted me to hate her, but I also hated her because a lot of the show's characters are very broad strokes.
Yes.
And they tend to just sort of like, I represent
They're
X.
archetypical characters.
Yeah.
Yes.
I represent the rich, or I represent Instagram culture, or I represent entitlement.
The bookworm, or
Yeah. And so it's kind of like, that's why none of them are interesting beyond him, because none of them are allowed to be anything more than that.
Sure.
So that's my problem with the show. It's still entertaining. I'm on season 2 now.
Have you watched any of it yet?
I've watched, I believe, the first 2 episodes. I do not like the new love interest either, who's named Love. I don't find her engaging in any way.
Continue watching.
That's what I've been told.
We will have to discuss. I don't know how much you're going to like it. I'm not going to tell you if I hated it or liked it or whatever. I will say that I don't agree with the premise or the idea that just get through the first season because the second one is where it all really...
Right.
That I don't understand.
I actually kind of enjoyed season 1 a hell of a lot more than I thought I would after, I think, the first episode. I was kind of like, I don't know about this.
It's a fun show.
But it gets
guilty
me. It
pleasure
gets
show.
you. And as a man, you're like, fuck you. This is such a woman's show, but it's okay. But also, what the fuck am I doing? There are no aliens or robots or demons or cartoon characters.
How are we watching something like that? It does work too, because like there's a scene the first season when the blonde finds the thing up in the bathroom.
Right.
And I mean, that's a tense moment.
It's a tense moment.
Yeah, it's good. Now I watched a few other things. I started The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez, which is the documentary on Netflix about the kid being tortured. We don't have to talk too much about it. It's really good, really hard to watch. Dune.
I heard that you're going to be discussing this, or did you already?
Last weekend.
This was the last weekend. Yeah, that's right.
Might be one of the hardest movies to sit through in the history of mankind, because not only is it boring, not only is it exposition laden, but you have no idea what's going on. So that movie's terrible. And then I watched The Beyond, the Lucio Fulci Italian horror classic, gore fest movie. Woman, and this is another one that's dubbed over like Italian westerns were or whatever.
Sure.
So there's a woman, she inherits a hotel that's on one of the gateways to hell. And all these people die in crazy fucking ways. Really fun movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really like the music in these old Italian horror movies. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing I'm going to mention is that I have been watching The Masked Singer on Fox.
They've gotten to you. They've gotten to you.
It was never
it's
up
always,
to me.
It was a matter of time.
It is the dumbest show I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Dumbest. It's dumber than any other, Joe Millionaire was like Citizen Kane next to The Masked Singer.
Right.
Every week they trot a few on. And actually, as we're recording this, I believe there's an episode on right now. But basically, they trot out a few people in masks. They sing a song, and you have to guess who it is with the clue packages or whatever.
Right.
I weep for the culture. That this is like...
Weep for the culture.
And I'm watching it. So I weep for myself.
Right. I have yet to watch an episode. I don't think I ever will.
It's terrible.
I remember seeing ads for it before it came out, before season 1. And I love the fact that the show has been out for like not even a year.
It's been out 3 seasons.
It's season 4 coming soon. I was like, fuck you, that's not a season. I remember when a season was supposed to be for a full year, you motherfucker.
No, a season is now, we take like a 6-week break between seasons and it's a new season.
Yeah, anything that can go from season to season that quickly can straight get fucked because there's no quality involved. But I remember the first time I saw ads, I was at a bar, had a few, was with some people, and I just spent like the whole time, and it was mostly because they were just allowing me to do it, but I was like, oh, so-and-so's wearing a mask. Is he an egg? Is he scrambled or is he sunny side up? What a waste of time. What song is he going to sing? Who's under the mask? I don't know. It's a waste of time.
Hey, people be loving it, man.
And it's great because like they pushed the advertisements for that so hard that if you happen to be a regular person who like doesn't skip ads or can't skip ads because it's live TV and not YouTube, there's like no way you weren't seeing it. So like at the bar, I was seeing it like every 4 minutes.
Well, and then they burn it out because they know it's not going to be interesting in like 2 years. So they'll just get a bunch of seasons done, finish it.
What are they going to do? Like, could they combine that with like
next. American Idol or something?
Could they combine that with like American Gladiator and we could like hit the celebrities?
Who knows?
Let's do that.
I'm not going to end on that note. I got one more thing.
Oh boy.
This is it.
Sure.
The season finale or series finale, I don't know, of The Outsider was on Sunday night.
Sure.
The best season finale /finale, whatever it is, of any show I've seen in a long time. It was perfect.
Oh.
Perfect.
I hit that really high. Oh.
I cried watching this finale. It was...
Wow.
The buildup was great.
And Jackson does not admit that readily.
It was fucking great. And what's his name? The bad guy from Rogue One.
Sure.
Ben
Mendelsohn, yeah.
Awesome.
Love him.
Harriet Tubman.
Sweet. Harriet.
Yeah, her. Yeah, Harriet Tubman. We're just going to call her. I forget her name. She is great. Everyone in it is great. The characters are all fucking awesome. It's scary. It's sad. It was intense.
It was everything.
I loved it. I loved it.
He loved it. It was huge.
A+ ending. A+ ending.
Huge.
A+.
Let me
you had
tell
to
you.
stick Trump in there before the end of the
You
episode.
were taking such big pauses and there were so many hand movements.
I suppose
you
that's
were
true.
becoming Trump yourself.
That's true. Playing the accordion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. God damn it.
But on that note, this has been another episode of Bored and Annoyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy your weekends, folks.
Yep. Don't get sick. I'm not going to leave you off on that note. We love you and thank you for listening.